Hello and welcome to our presentation today on digital first strategies. I'm Andy Pratt from Portio. I've been in the IT sector for 25 years, focusing particularly on digital transformation, so helping companies evolve their online and other digital channels. You may have heard the term digital first. So what we're going to cover today is what that actually means, its implications on the market and your business, and how technology is driving that, but also can help you enable a strategy. So our agenda will be to just really summarize what digital first actually means. Then we'll move on to the practical implications for your business and look what that means, and how you can rise to those challenges to develop your strategy going forward. And finally, just to summarize that and also show you how you can deliver that competitive edge in your particular business. So if we look at the market today, we all know the growth of digital interaction with our customers is just ballooning and growing significantly. And digital is the primary engagement channel for many businesses today. It's certainly becoming very important for everybody else there. So as the growth in digital goes forward, customers have growing expectations about engaging through a variety of digital channels. So the number of routes to market through digital are growing along with that. So if we look at some examples of that, we can see mobile devices through apps or through responsive websites, desktop websites, we have marketplaces, we have EDI integration, integration through APIs, and then using technologies such as voice and those kind of things. Now, these are all benefits to both the merchant and the client, the customer, as we can all take advantage of the convenience and the efficiency of dealing through those low-cost channels. But what we have to do is really ensure that our processes and our systems align with that, and also recognise that the importance of providing high quality service and facilities across those multiple touch points. So when we actually look at how we support these from a technology point of view, what we find is a number of specialist systems to support each of those touch points with the customer. So we have e-commerce systems for our web, mobile app platforms for mobile apps, we have EDI platforms, we have marketplace management systems. And these systems are dedicated to what they do. They have specialist functionality, so really designed to just support and manage those particular channels in the best possible way. In addition to that, we usually have an ERP system at the heart of our business, which will hold a lot of the core data, which is obviously of use across those channels. So maintaining a number of systems which are interconnected, which require development and management and maintenance in their own right, which can cause a number of quite challenging scenarios. So first of all, from just a pure IT perspective, this requires a large number of multiple individual systems. These systems need integration, so we need to pass information around from the ERP system into each of the independent systems. So there's a very high cost of investment in these platforms, a high cost in maintaining them, and quite a lot of difficulty in actually achieving proper integration. So this generates additional cost and inefficiency in the business, but also generates inertia. So where we're looking to change and develop and introduce new facilities or change the way we're working or change our offer, that often involves changing a whole variety of systems to reflect that overall business objective, which means that taking things to market can be very slow and costly. Not only do we have the challenges of actually managing these IT systems, but having a large number of systems also drives duplication and the multiplication of processes. So, for example, where we're introducing new functionality that we want to expose to our customers or new services, then we're faced with having to set that up and maintain that in each of those systems. So where we're managing product information, for example, having to do that in multiple systems, where we're managing pricing information, doing that in multiple systems, or where we're simply creating content and brand information, again, having to replicate that across the number of systems we have. So again, from a people point of view, that introduces a large amount of cost and duplication. It also introduces delays in getting things to market, again, in a similar way that IT system management does. And it can introduce inconsistency and errors. So wherever we have manual processes, wherever we're passing information around, there's always an opportunity for mistakes to happen, for inconsistencies to be introduced into the process, and just straightforward errors, which are not ideal. And all this really manifests itself in probably one of the most important aspects of this, which is the impact on the customer experience. Customers are looking for consistency in any way they deal with your business, and inconsistency can quite quickly put customers off. So making sure that you've got that consistency and you're giving the same messages across all your channels is extremely important. It's also important to make the variety of services you're offering online available across all your channels. So not just selling or not just providing product information, but also to provide customer service facilities across everything where the customer wants to actually engage with you. So what would the ideal look like? Well, if there was a single system out there which could support everything you wanted to do and do that across all your channels, then that would probably be nirvana. But at the moment and for the foreseeable future, that is extremely unlikely. All these systems have been developed to address particular areas of your channels and your back office operations. And although there are movements in that direction, we are far from having that kind of opportunity in the marketplace. However, technology is responding, and although technology to some degree has created all these challenges, it's moving forward to address these challenges and making our life easier. So what I wanted to do is really move forward and cover off some of the areas that are available today where technology can help address this and build your digital first strategy. So I'm going to look at 3 particular technologies which are available and show you the particular application of those. So the first subject really is something called business logic centralisation. So if you look across the estate, you'll find exactly the same requirement occurring. So for example, pricing or stock availability, and having a central place which manages that particular function and then exposing that out across the different systems you have can take a lot of the issues away from the business. So if we take a scenario where We have an ERP system which, amongst other things, looks after your pricing and your pricing. So it's got a database and business rules in there to deliver pricing information, considering the customer and the product mix that's actually going into the basket. We then have a website which requires that information. Now, rather than duplicating the pricing rules on the website, what we can actually do is go back to the central system from within the website, asking the central system what the price is when it's required, and then the central system passing that information back to the website for presentation to the customer. So the advantage of that is we're using a single place to actually obtain that logic, so we're going to get consistent results. If we have another channel, so for example, an EDI channel, again, we can use exactly the same technique and exactly the same logic to pull the same information back to that particular system as well. So we're getting the same result irrespective of where we access it from. And if the business wants to change those rules on pricing, it can be done just in a single place. So stripping out a whole heap of work and effort and complication. It may be that there's other information available, maybe not in the core ERP system, for example. So maybe a products database. So the information that supports a website or EDI or other channels doesn't necessarily have to come from one place. What we can do is reference the different repository for that particular information. So although the price may come out of the ERP system or the pricing engine, the product information may come out of a product data repository or something of that nature. So we're mixing and matching, but the key to this is we're maintaining the data and the logic in one place, not necessarily in the same system, but in the one place, so that we are simplifying and cutting down on the data maintenance. So if we look at an example of this, this happens to one of our clients called Pioneer Food Service, and Pioneer faced a challenge of supporting their customers through a telesales system, a mobile app, and also a fairly old website. And each of those were obtaining data from different places and being supported by, different systems. So what Pioneer have done is they've used this concept of centralized business logic, and each of their channels, from the website to the app to their call center systems, is using the exact same business logic. So for stock, for pricing, for delivery options, for product attributes, and everything. So significantly saving money on their maintenance. So moving on to the second area, which is about blending channels, or we call blending channels. And systems are evolving to support multiple channels from a single system. And a great example of that is something called progressive web applications, which you may have heard about. Progressive web applications is about addressing one of the ways that delivering e-commerce systems has evolved over the years. So e-commerce originally started as e-commerce on desktops. As mobile devices came available, they were being supported separately through applications rather than websites. Over time, web providers have responded by introducing progressive websites so that the website will work on a device, but still having shortcomings when compared to a proper mobile app experience. So what's been done to address this is the introduction of progressive web applications, or PWA, and progressive web applications close the gap down and allow web applications that run on mobile devices to behave just like an app does. So it puts an icon on the home screen, it can work offline, it can be deployed out of a web store, we can send push notifications, and all that's provided under a single platform. So if the customer is visiting your site on a mobile device, they get the mobile app experience. If they visit on a tablet or on a desktop, then they'll get an experience that's optimized for that. So immediately we're cutting down the number of systems we need to use to support web and apps. So the third development, really, and this is something that's been around for a few years now, is really centralizing and unifying product data. So instead of having to maintain different product data in different systems, we can provide a single repository where we put data, which is then pushed out to the channel. And this can be used by products known as Product Information Management Systems, or PIMs. So what a PIM system does, very simply, is form a database which holds all your product information. So like an ERP system, which is typically fairly limited, PIM systems are designed to hold everything, whether it's imagery, descriptions across multiple channels, rich content. We have validation tools and management tools for collecting and maintaining that data. So very much designed for managing product information. So that information can be then pushed out to the web or the mobile app or to your EDI system or to your marketplaces from that central place. And often, because some data is common across those channels, that obviously avoids duplicating that information. So what I'd like to do now is just really quickly summarize what we've been talking about today, and just talk briefly about how we can actually take a journey along this particular step. So first of all, just recognizing the importance of digital first in supporting the changing needs of your customers and meeting their particular expectations. The web is continuing to develop, the number of channels to market is continuing to develop, and customers expect to be able to take advantage of that. So developing your processes and systems to support digital is extremely important. Look at building platforms that can take you forward. Look for building platforms that offer API integration, so we can achieve this central business logic concept. So you can feed your systems from central places, and also for channel systems which can actually absorb that information and give you that overall kind of landscape. And we can evolve into this. So using small steps towards a larger strategy can help you take advantage of these in small investments. So for example, moving towards a PWA time scenario helps you integrate your mobile and your e-commerce platforms very simply. Although counterintuitive, introducing another system, but a PIM system, Product Information Management System, can actually help you to centralize your product data and send information to your systems through there. Again, cutting out a lot of duplication and effort without major investment. So I hope that's given you a little bit of a picture, and that's been helpful. Please feel free to ask any questions through the Q&A functionality of the session, and we'll look to answering those shortly. And if we don't have time, we'll obviously come back to you and respond to those when we've completed. So my contact details are on the screen. I'd be more than happy to hear from you, and thank you for your time and attention.